Birmingham, Alabama?
Were we just in Alabama, or we were in Mississippi?
No, you and I were we were in neither of those places.
Okay,
but mentally speaking,
yes.
we were in Biloxi.
We're in Biloxi. That's right. What do I know about?
We were actually a nautical Biloxi, if you recall.
We were an unincorporated nautical Biloxi.
Speaking of, we should do a gut check here. Did that? So you've heard one story so far.
Correct.
The Ghost of Deer Island.
Yes.
Did that change your mind about the existence of ghosts?
Not in the least.
Okay,
no.
so 999 to go. Okay.
Right.
All right. So what do you know about Birmingham, Alabama?
Not a whole lot. It's in Alabama, so obviously it's very beautiful, and
your face did a thing when you said that.
Yeah, it's my really sincere look. I think it's probably very very beautiful and very compelling, and
stars fell on it once, according to the license plate.
Did it?
Isn't that what their license plate says?
There's no way they would survive something like that.
That's what I said, but I think the first time I saw that license plate,
Stars fell
in Alabama. Not on Birmingham specifically, but Alabama.
I mean, there's
and not hard enough because it's still there.
Yeah, well, and there's not much else in Alabama, so it probably could have fallen fucking anywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Is this a cussing podcast?
Yeah, it's explicit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So nothing about Birmingham specifically, though.
No, not that I would recall. No.
So you're not aware that Birmingham, Alabama is really famous for the nearby deposits of iron ore, coal, and limestone?
And its relation to the spectral plane?
Yeah.
No, I'm not aware of. I mean, I guess I'm aware they probably do something down there, like mine things or shoot things or cut down trees. I don't know what they do.
It's and.
Okay, yeah. So.
Okay.
Is it related to the...
It is. Believe it or not, it is related. I thought you might know this because you're an engineer, or you claim to be. Every time I ask you if it's true, you say yes.
Now, have you ever seen me do engineering?
No.
200 feet away?
No,
dazzling
that's
over
true.
The shoulder engineering?
I have not. So you are as fake as baseball.
Okay.
Okay, so Birmingham, Alabama, was, I don't know if it still is, but definitely was in the 1800s, definitely famous for all these natural mineral deposits they had, including, as I said, iron ore, coal, and limestone. Now, you're an engineer, allegedly. Do you know what those three things are components of?
Iron ore. I've already forgotten the second one.
Coal.
Okay. Iron and coal. And what was the third?
Limestone.
Iron, coal, and limestone.
Did you know that if you take those three things and put them together, you get a new thing?
What is the thing that you get? I'm not a materials guy.
Or steel.
Chemist.
You ever work with steel?
Steel. Yes.
Okay. Now,
coal.
I have to say
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes. Okay. So Birmingham, Alabama, 1800s had a ton of this stuff lying around. And there was...
Did they know what to do with it back then?
Well, one person did.
Okay.
And his name
was John Steele.
Was Steele M. Steele. No, his name was James. His name was James Withers Sloss. His middle name was Withers, which I think is phenomenal. What sort? You've got a few children.
Somewhere, yeah.
When they were born, for any of them, did you look at them and be like, your middle name needs to be something about desiccation?
Yes, I see. I gave them my own last name.
so you get it.
So yeah, I understand.
James Withers Sloss.
James Withers Sloths.
Yeah, we'll just call him Jim, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Jim Withers. Jim Withers Sloss. James Withers. What a terrorist! I don't know. James Withers Sloss.
Why did everybody back then go by three names? Were they all serial killers?
Yeah. Tell me now that ghosts don't exist.
Okay, so one ghost exists in your house apparently, but the good thing is it's now dead.
Wow, that was something. Anyway, where were we? James, what do you know about Birmingham, Alabama?
Not much. I mean, no more now, obviously, but not much.
So James Withers Sloss, he knows that there is iron ore and coal and limestone around outside of Birmingham, and he thinks, well, that's steel, friend. Hey, man, that's going to be steel. All we need to make it steel is heat, I think. Is that right? I don't really know.
Is it like diamonds where you have to mush them?
I don't think you mush them hard. I think you melt them and spin it.
And spin it.
Like stir it, you know.
Oh, like cotton candy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds like the steel I know.
Yeah. Okay. So we're doing that. So he's like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a big cotton candy machine, but for steel. Iron ore, coal, and limestone.
Right.
And what he decides to do is build this place called Sloss Furnaces
Sloss. At no point did he just decide that name is really difficult to pronounce.
He did not.
Sloss.
No. I don't know if you know this about rich people. They really like putting their names on things, no matter how bad their name is. That's everything. So Sloss Furnaces, and the name Sloss Furnaces sounds small, right? Like you have a furnace in your house.
I do. It's very small. You couldn't make any steel in it.
Right. So that's not what we're talking about here. I want to show you a picture of Sloss Furnaces as it stands today.
Okay.
This is great because podcasts are all about visuals.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's like a bunch of little penises all sticking out of the ground.
Well, they're a bunch of big penises. Those are pretty big. This is from a lot far away.
Okay, what is a big penis?
So okay, so they're very penile, yeah, and there are a lot of them. And this is a furnace. So these were just a bunch of big furnaces where you would dump in a bunch of raw materials of these earth minerals, and you would melt them together, and eventually you would make steel out of them. But what Sloss Furnace really did, what their specialty was they made something called pig iron.
Oh, yes, I do know.
Familiar with pig iron?
I am familiar with
Would you like to describe what pig iron is?
Pig iron is, I don't know, but it was a Johnny Cash song.
Okay.
Johnny Cash does sing quite a bit about pig iron.
Mm-hmm. So pig iron is a kind of a cheaper iron with really high carbon levels.
Okay.
Of like, it says here like 4%, which doesn't seem very high, but I guess that's high for iron.
So a high amount of carbon
is
bad.
Is bad. Well, it's not bad, but it makes it brittle.
Okay. All right.
So you don't like it.
Like a pig might be. Okay. Yeah.
You've seen pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they fall apart when you look at them the wrong way.
That's how you get bacon.
Exactly.
Yes. They come in strips like that from the shards.
Full of carbon.
So pig iron, I found out they name it this because you would pour the pig iron into these molds. They have like one big channel with these little ingots coming off each side of it. And then you would break off the little ingots. And so it looked like a bunch of piglets coming up to feed on a sow is what I read.
So hold on. So in this person's mind, you break the piglets off of the sow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have pig iron. Well, you make the ingots, right? And then you want those.
They just, okay.
Yeah. They're not saying like in the way that you knock pigs off the sow with a hammer, we're going to knock these ingots off with a hammer. They're saying, hey, this looks kind of like that thing. Now let's knock it off with a hammer.
Right. Okay. Unlike what you would. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Sure. So pig iron.
Pig iron is what they make. And then you can use pig iron to make steel. You can use pig iron to do other things. I stopped looking after that because I don't really care. Yeah. That's not a part of the ghost story.
Yeah.
But they did make it there.
This is a ghost story.
Yes. Right. Back on track. So, now James Sloss builds this, and he wasn't like a great person. This is going to shock you that like
19th century Alabama, and he's not a great person.
19th century Alabama wealthy man was not a nice person. So this was in 1881.
Oh, well.
So this picks up after the Civil War.
This was way after the slavery.
America's fine. Yeah. Everything is like, everyone's even.
The Civil War figured everything out.
Yes.
And people
it's
are
all
like
done.
Totally kumbaya.
Reconstruction worked great and everything is good. Yeah. So I did not look up the source of his wealth. I do have a guess as to what it probably was. Here are some things that he did. So when he bought this, he seemed like a pretty smart businessman because he started building the furnaces. And then when he did, he was like, I'm going to make all this iron. It would be really great to have a way to transport this iron around the country. Yeah. Right. Somewhere like I can't. Yeah. So, what am I going to do? I got to sell it to people. Yeah. So he used his wealth and influence then to become the president of a new combined rail line, Nashville Decatur Railway Company. He's like, I'm just going to throw some money around. I will become president of that. I'll be some bribes. He became president, and his first act as president of the railway company, any guesses?
To move his shit around.
Build new tracks directly to the Sloss Furnaces.
Makes perfect sense.
Pretty good, right?
Yep. And what do you make the rails out of?
Sloss God, pig iron. That's why they fell apart all the time. But then they had to build new ones. He just made a mint. It was amazing. Yeah. Okay, so he did that, which, again, smart. He also, this is where it gets kind of gross. People were like, you're gonna need a lot of people working at this giant factory. So he hired on a bunch of immigrants and a bunch of former slaves who didn't have many other work opportunities at that time.
In the 1880s South, mostly paper.
Would you like to know what the conditions were like at the steel mill?
With I'd imagine a lot of like numbers crunching.
Some of that, like how many people died today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Those spreadsheets are deadly.
So as you can imagine, working at a big furnace where they smelt, is that the right word? Smelt? Is that what that smelting means?
They can smelt, they can forge.
They were forging. Yeah.
So all kinds of really exciting stuff. It's very safe for the
get stuff
body.
hot. That's what
they get stuff hot. They pour it into stuff. They beat it into place. So really safe stuff.
So it was really hot there inside where the furnaces are, of course. So that sucked. People work. This is before, labor unions were really a thing. This is before the government was like, you can't really overwork people. We don't like that.
Can't work people to death, even if they signed a sheet of paper 10 years ago.
Right. So they had about 12-hour days was kind of the norm. It's a long day to work in that
12
heat.
hours on, 12 hours off.
What's I know. People complain about anything.
Yeah.
They just
liners.
And a lot of them got paid, not in money, but in script they could use at the company store.
You get paid in pig iron.
Paid in pig iron that you could then hurl.
Great job this week.
The foreman and be like, fuck you.
Here's 600 pounds of pig iron. Take it home, feed your kids.
Yep, pretty much. So you didn't get money, but you got script that you could use at the store, which is real great, real nice.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's the setup here, right? We've got this brand new furnace. It's a huge place where they make iron and they make pig iron and steel.
This Xanadu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's dying to get in. And so the factory opened on April 18th, 1882. Oh, do you remember where you were on April 18th, 1882?
No, probably in school.
Yeah,
something
probably
like that.
Busy. Okay, so you weren't at the grand opening, but
I was not.
So it opens April 18th, 1882. And again, the conditions are terrible. Like no one wants to work there, but there's people who just need some money. And like, well, I guess it'll be me. But here's something interesting. So I read, this comes from several articles and I'll link them in the podcast, in the show notes. But one of the main sources for this was actually the Travel Channel, which is interesting. Cause it's like, hey, we have a place for you to travel to. Would you like to see the ghosts at Sloss Furnaces? And the Travel Channel, talking about the factory itself, had a really interesting quote that I am going to read here verbatim because I love it. And it's one of the wildest things I've read in my life. The positions at Sloss were highly dangerous, but also highly sought after, as working with the blast furnaces was fairly advanced at that time. Patrick, would you like to work this extremely dangerous job? You'll probably die, but it's new. Would you like to do it?
It's on the cutting edge of the blast furnace industry.
No one else is doing this. Very few people get to die doing this.
Yeah.
And it could be you. Would you like to be in?
Everybody else is making steel very slowly in a pit somewhere. Yeah. We are blasting it out at 10,000 degrees.
I mean, they make it sound like the space shuttle mission.
Yeah.
3 people get to do this and all of them will die. Do you want in?
Do you have the right stuff? Basically.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's wild. So no one liked it, but it was, I guess, Travel Channel, like you got to believe them.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, they
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
unblemished record.
Anyway, people started dying immediately.
Sure.
I mean, there was carbon monoxide poisoning was a common way to go, which is probably, in hindsight, the best way to go because I think that's pretty painless, right?
Yeah.
You could. I know you can die from it while you're sleeping and not wake up. So that sounds like it's.
That sounds like really nice.
I mean, comparatively, yeah, because other ways that people die would be like steam pipe explosions. They'd get burned up by the steam, or the metal would like go through them.
Right, through the body.
Through the body.
You. Right.
Yeah. One guy got caught on a giant flywheel. You know what a flywheel is?
I know what a giant flywheel is. Yeah.
Got caught on one of those. He got dragged into the gears of it. And apparently kept like spinning around and around. His friends were just like watching, like, and every time it would get worse and there would be less and less, but it took a while.
How many of them died like the T-1000 in Terminator?
Funny, that's my next example. So on September 9th, 1887.
It's funny you mentioned the T-1000 in Terminator.
That's where the inspiration came from this, I think. There was a worker called Richard Jowers. He was working at, he was working at the big furnace number 1.
Sure.
And he was near the top of the furnace, which, I guess is where you drop things in from.
It's the money spot right there.
Yep. Except he slipped. And I guess, so he had a heavy bell made of metal that he was going to melt into the steel. I don't know why that detail is important, but he and the bell both fell into the furnace.
Oh man, dude, you got to let go of the bell.
I'm sorry. And here's another wild detail. So there was nothing anyone could do to help, and they stood helplessly by as Jowers was incinerated. It is rumored they were able to remove his head and several bones before his remains were lost completely. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, his widow was probably like, God, I'm really sad. right? You know, I mean,
Sure.
like
Yeah, of course.
James.
They're all named. No, Richard.
Richard. I meant Richard. It's really sad that my husband Richard's dead, but thank goodness his head has survived.
And a shoulder bone is there. And
yeah, exactly.
It's
and some portions of the belt. So
that's
really all I.
Something to remember him by, which is very nice. How do you think let's say I fall into basically like molten lava, right?
Yeah.
And I'm dying very quickly, melting just on impact.
Do you die quickly? I don't think you like.
Well, the T-1000 took some time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm falling slowly into this vat. How do you think you, as my good friend who wants to save my head and some bones for my wife, how do you think you get those out of there?
They probably have a skimmer.
Like a pool skimmer, like the long-handled. Yeah. Okay.
Like, oh shit! There's a mosquito in the molten lava.
Yeah.
Get that out of there.
Okay.
That's gross.
Okay.
So.
Asked and answered. Good. Okay. So these things keep happening, right? People keep dying. It's not going great.
Yeah.
For anyone, really, except for
everyone's learning about steel, though.
Yeah. I mean, this is all learning experience, and they learn how to not interact with steel, or like when not to interact with it in certain ways. Like I can touch it when it's cool and hard.
Yeah.
When cannot touch it when it's then I can touch. Yeah. When it's hot and yellow, don't touch.
Right.
Is what we're learning.
Like a rhyme. Like hot and yellow, kill a fellow.
Like a mnemonic device to run.
Cool and black, touch it back.
Yeah. I think probably that's safe to say. Yeah, I think they did. So no one's having a good time. Except for James Sloss, who's making lots of money. So he's doing great. So all these people are dying. There may or may not have been ghosts already because of that. I mean, I would assume.
Oh, this is a ghost podcast.
Yeah, back to the ghosts. This is the really history forward ghost podcast, also with Terminator involved. So these people are all dying. I don't know if I can stress that enough. Lots of people are just dying, but no one really cares.
I mean, they're all dead
unfortunately. Yeah. And also at the time, no one cared because they were all like immigrants and former slaves. Which it doesn't feel good to say that, but it's how it seems to be how it was.
Good to say it.
Yeah, but it's how it was.
Yeah, right? Sure.
Okay, so that's the setting for the early 1900s. The place has been around for about 20 years. A new foreman is hired for the graveyard shift.
That's a terrible name for this place. Yeah, the graveyard shift at the rural steel plant.
Where people die just all the time. His name is James. Does that surprise you?
Man.
His name is James Wormwood.
They run out of names down there.
They had two names. They were James and Richard.
Richard, that's it. Yeah.
James Wormwood was the foreman of the graveyard shift. Yep. His nickname was Slag.
Sure, yeah.
That's it's a metal. It's an iron term. I think.
Slag is like the extra part that you don't like. You don't like that part.
Yeah. So you think probably like people were like, "I call you Slag," and he was like, "What a cool nickname! I got a cool nickname from the guy."
Yeah.
And they're like laughing behind his back.
And then like 5 minutes later, you're like, "Oh shit!
God,
the part we don't like."
Yeah, but it's already everywhere. They're already like chanting "Slag, Slag, Slag." Yeah. Okay, so James Slag Wormwood. Slag was he's foreman of the graveyard shift, which is obviously the overnight shift. He was the worst. He's not a good person either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so here you are, pictures the graveyard shift. It's about 150 people per shift overnight. It got up to about 120 degrees pretty regularly in that space.
Not that bad.
I think it is.
Well, see, yeah,
I think it is.
So I mean, to our dear listener, like, you're not built for 120.
Oh, no. I'm built for like a comfortable 76, 77.
Yeah.
Anything in the 80s, and I have to go inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 120, I thrive. Yeah. I absolutely thrive. I am absolutely. I'm there.
You thrive at 120.
Yeah, I'm in trunks.
Okay.
I've got maybe some old Crocs. 120 is my.
Ow. Stuff in the way. Say when.
The person me poured a drink. 120 is my jam. That's where I idle at 120.
When have you ever been in 120?
I have been in 120. I mean, we're going on a tangent here. 120 is.
That's Death Valley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very pleasant.
Okay.
But it might be humid though. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Alabama's probably got some humidity. I would guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe not pleasant.
Okay. So 150 people, 120 degrees, hard to see because it's like, it's dark.
And it's like so smoky, you probably can't see the other side of the factory.
I can imagine it's so smoky and like hazy and terrible. Like you got sweat in your eyes. So it sucks. Yeah. Right. Anyway, a lot of people died. Like
Sure.
a lot of people died
didn't realize
anyway.
it. Yeah, it's a cloudy pool at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, oh, did
I don't know.
James die? And they're like, which James? And you're like, well, the one that died. And you're
The one
like,
that wasn't
oh,
Richard.
Yeah,
They're like, oh yeah, he's gone. Richard was here earlier. Did he die? I don't know. He either died or quit. I don't know. Well, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So a lot of people died, and but a lot. Like by one count, just during Slag's tenure at Sloss Furnaces, which was not long, as we'll see shortly, about 47 people died. So in the course of like 4 years, 47 people just in the graveyard shift died, which doesn't feel like that many really. Now that I say it out loud. I mean, it's a lot, I cherish humanity, but for the context,
in the grand scheme of things, like a lot more people died today.
Total?
I mean, not on the graveyard
in the world,
shift. Not in the yes, in the world.
Okay.
So, but under James Slag,
yes,
Richard's
James.
Sorry, James Slag's what? Yeah, that is a lot for one person to be responsible for.
Yeah, and again, as we established last time at this podcast, at this point in America, there were only 72 people.
I think
so.
Zero on there, buddy.
No, so about half the people in America died under Slag's watch. 47 of them.
Yep.
And again, same thing, like accidents and stuff was happening, so problematic. Okay, so James Slag, Wormwood, he's very cruel. Yell at people to get back to work when they're like, I mean, taking a break at this point is not like you and I think of taking a break.
Yeah.
Taking a break is like, hey, I took my hand off of this burning hot metal for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. And he would yell at them and scream and get back to work. And, he would hit them with things. And that was terrible. On top of all the other terrible stuff that was happening here. Lots of people died, as we said. So it wasn't good. But he would just come to work and he would scream at people and he would yell at them and he would injure them. He would like attack them, not just verbally, but physically. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I'm trying to paint a picture here. Is it bad? It was a bad work environment.
James Slag.
Does it
not a great guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So October 1906, Slag has been there for, 4 or 5 years. He dies.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's really sad. He dies. He dies one day at work on the job.
Really?
Yeah. And the official story is that he was inspecting the top of the highest blast furnace, which you'll want to know is called Big Alice. So he was on top of Big Alice inspecting it.
Are you making assumptions about what Big Alice is at this point, or?
I assume Big Alice is one of the giant penises.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's on top of Big Alice.
He's on top of Big Alice,
checking things out.
Yeah, he's up there, and he slips and falls into the furnace.
Oh no!
Like the T-1000.
Right. Yeah.
Into a tank of molten iron ore. Dies pretty quickly. They do not save his head or his bones
or the bell.
Okay. They just say, you know what, this one can go.
It's a shame.
So that's a story. But Slag had never been up to the top of that furnace before. He had no business being on top of that furnace. There was nothing that he should have been doing on top of that furnace.
Okay.
Had he gone onto the top of the furnace for whatever reason.
Yeah. Smoke break,
sure.
Yeah. See if you can see
hissing into the lava, because why not?
Oh, dude, that does sound fun.
It does sound pretty good. Now that I say that,
okay.
Yeah, I would do that. But apparently he was pretty sure-footed. He wasn't like a clumsy person. He was, very careful.
Yeah.
About his own life. So it seemed unlikely that was actually how he died.
So some mystery.
Mystery. The whispers around the morning shift were that the graveyard workers had graveyard shift.
Yeah, graveyard shift worker.
The graveyard shift worker.
Yeah. James and
Richard and James and Richard. Yeah, they'd had enough. So they cornered him one night, and they did some mob justice.
Hogtied him.
Brought him up to the top of the furnace.
Threw him into Big Alice. Yeah.
I see no problem with this. He was not a good person.
Seemed like kind of a dick, and justice served. Okay.
Justice served, no bones saved.
Right. Yep.
Now, what they did not count on was Slag coming back from beyond the grave.
Okay.
This is a ghost podcast.
What?
The Prestige.
45 minutes into the podcast. It is now about ghosts.
So, not long after he dies, strange things start happening at Sloss Furnace. Like strange supernatural things. There are already strange things. I would say if it's, 120 degrees and people are dying all the time. That's pretty strange. But
guys are getting their heads picked out of the furnace. I would say we're kind of already in strange territory.
Yeah.
But
so differently strange things start happening. Workers on all shifts started to complain of an unnatural presence that they encountered through the work site. Now, for some of them, it was a weird feeling, which, definitely a ghost.
There's a lot of weird feelings in an early 1900s blast furnace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, except you think of this as...
Oh, that's my bones melting. That's a weird feeling.
That sure is strange. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, that doesn't convince me necessarily, but some people did see some things. Here are some examples. In 1926, there was a night watchman. And I should say, they suspended the graveyard shift after that completely.
Really?
Like, no more graveyard shift.
Wow.
It's out of hand. We'll just have 2 shifts that are 12 hours long each. So I don't know how that math works out.
I mean, they could have just renamed it, like from graveyard shift to something else.
I don't know if that was the main problem.
That's kind of a fucked up name to give it.
It's not good.
Yeah.
But it's kind of foreshadowing, really.
Would you know James died in the graveyard shift? Well, we're going to rename it the Candy Cloud shift, so it'll be fine. By
the way, speaking of that, shout out to frightfurnace.com, where I found some of this information, because this whole site tells a story about slag and how he worked the graveyard shift and how he had a skeleton crew. And there are just so many plays on words here that the author must have felt very proud of themselves.
I mean, it does make sense where a lot of this is coming from now, like skeleton crew, graveyard shift.
Oh yeah. This is where all the death happened.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. So anyway, 1926 night watchman. So he's there during the graveyard shift time, but he is the graveyard shift now.
Right.
He was pushed from behind, according to his report, by a nothing. And he said an angry voice said, "Get back to work."
Oh.
And I think I'm going to go back and post and see if I can like change that, like make it like echoey and sinister, like add some effects to it. Get back to work. Or I could just have you do it. That was really good. I know, I'm really good. You don't have the headphones, but that was really good.
I know, yeah.
Okay, nice. So, yeah, that's what he said.
I scare the fuck out of my kids all the time.
Oh, they must love that. They're young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're terrified too.
Yeah. Okay. So he got pushed and he fell to the ground, was told to get back to work in the way that you did it. And then he turned around and there was no one there. That was 1926. 1947, there were 3
I'm sorry, sir. 21 years passed between.
This is an overview. This is not exhaustive.
Okay.
So in 1947, 3 supervisors were missing. Suddenly they were not there anymore, and people thought, "Hey, where are our supervisors? They're usually here being real dicks." And now we can't help miss them that they're gone. We missed that. We didn't know we would miss them yelling at us and being mean to us, but we missed them now. So they're like, we should go look for them. Okay. You have something to say? Your face suggests you have something to say.
So 3 supervisors, what do you mean they've gone missing? As in,
it's like if people look around. Shift. Yeah. And then people look around, they're like, "Hey, where's our supervisor?" And then someone from the other side of the furnace goes, Hey, that's weird. Where's my supervisor? And then this guy on the third side goes, "Hey, where's my supervisor?" So they all are missing their supervisors. And they're like, that's weird.
And they're not just like, whatever in the back. You know what I mean?
No, please explain to me.
I mean, like 3 supervisors. You know how it gets.
No, I don't. Can you?
Anyway, things happen.
Okay.
So,
anyway, you're really changing a lot of my ideas about our blockbuster time together.
Yeah, well, it's a supervisory thing. But so they disappear.
So they're gone, and people are like, "Hey, man, it's been like several hours."
I mean, they could be like smoking out in the parking lot or something like that.
Yeah, right? I assume this means they were gone like all day. Like, I checked in, and people were like, "Hey, see you in 10 minutes."
Yeah,
and then he was just gone. I don't know. So they're gone.
Okay,
they're gone. So like, I guess we could go look for them. We're gonna go look for them. Okay. Now, I would not do that. If my supervisor disappeared, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah, 10-minute rule.
Spring break.
I'm out soon. Yeah.
Yeah. But these idiots were like, I guess we should go look for them. And they found their 3 supervisors. They were locked up in a small boiler room in the southeastern part of the plant. Unconscious. Door locked. Someone knocked them unconscious, put them in here. Now, I know what you're thinking.
It really sounds like
great prank. It's like a classic worker prank.
Or like a suck and fuck party gone wrong.
You could have just said that earlier. You're talking.
I know, but I had to let it get up there.
They all had their ties tied around their necks, and we couldn't understand why.
Yeah.
Okay. None of the three men could explain what happened to them.
Why would you?
No, here's where it gets weird. They didn't know what happened exactly, but they all agreed they were approached by a man whose skin appeared badly burned and who shouted at them angrily. Do you want to do this one? To push some steel.
Push some steel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So now this ghost of Slag I love it because it's becoming like a Freddy Krueger style. His skin's badly burned and he's just like pissed off in the boiler room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a bad sweater on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Slag dies. Then we start seeing ghosts again. This is an overview 1926.
Right.
You know, guy got pushed. 1947. 3 supervisors were attacked by Freddy Krueger. And then in 1971,
So another, generation
again, this
goes
is
by.
this is just to show the scope of how much how long these hauntings have gone on.
So there's probably more things happening in between here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, just not reported.
Well, no, they're reported. They're just. I'm not sharing them with you.
Just highlights.
I'm skipping.
Highlights.
Yeah, I'm giving you highlights for children.
Yeah.
So the 1971, the plant closes. They're like, we've had enough hauntings, and also no one's buying steel anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Plastic is the new thing. Whatever.
Sure.
It's closing in 1971. Last night before the actual official closing, there's a guard, Samuel Blumenthal. He was the night watchman. And again, this is 1971, so this is like pretty recent history.
Yeah. More or less.
Yeah.
I wasn't alive, but neither are you. But sure. I'm sure
No, but lots of people were.
Yeah. Several.
At least 500, I would say at this point. At this point in American history, at least 500 people.
Yeah.
Sam Blumenthal was looking around, taking like a last look, like,
What is his role here?
lady.
What is Sam
Night watchman?
Night watchman.
Yeah.
So
again, well, this is part of the point.
Okay.
These hauntings are happening during the graveyard shift. Now there's no more graveyard shift, but these
Very
poor night watchmen.
convenient, but
Yes.
okay, yes, yeah.
So this night watchman, he's taking a last look around. He's flashing his light around. In the movie, you could see like this guy just like, I'm gonna miss you, old girl, and like going around and like,
I'm gonna miss you, giant dick furnaces.
ding, 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 patting them, but like inappropriately, but like in a sweet way.
Right.
Yeah. And he peeks around a corner and he turns and he comes face to face with what he described as an evil half man, half demon who tried to push him up the stairs. Blumenthal fights back, says, no, don't push you up the stairs. I don't want to go up there. No, I've already been there. I don't backtrack. Please, no. And the monster begins to like beat the shit out of him with his fists, like punch, punch, punch.
Really?
Punch, punch, punch. He is so badly injured. He goes to an actual doctor. Okay. Doctor's name is Jack Barlow, which sounds like a fake doctor.
Yeah.
but again, this was the 70s. Could be a real doctor. Could be, I don't know, like a porn doctor.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Jack Barlow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Kind of a soap opera doctor, but that's fine.
He goes to Jack Barlow. The doctor says he's not only bruised, but he's covered by really, really bad second-degree burns.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the burns are over bruises.
Interesting. Like he was
So
punched with fire.
So it's like he got punched with fire.
Okay. I'm sure that is how that works. Yeah. Okay.
Ghost, man.
All right.
Okay. So anyway, there have been more than 100 reports, like official reports, like on the record of suspected paranormal activity.
When you say on the record, do you mean like filing police reports against ghosts?
Yeah, actually, Birmingham police records.
Birmingham police must be like so mad about
Yeah,
this.
I'm sure. I'm sure they hate it.
let's go file
They're
a
like,
ghost
hey,
report. Sure.
we know it's a ghost. We know. We tell you this all the time. It's on the internet. Go to flightfurnace.com.
Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so over 100 actual police reports about ghosts here. Things that you will notice if you go to walk through Sloss Furnaces, which I don't think you're allowed to do.
Right.
But you could.
I mean, it's Birmingham, Alabama. You can kind of do whatever you want down there.
Sudden drops in temperature, like very rapid, wild fluctuations, like walking through a tunnel and suddenly it's, it's 80 degrees. Oh, it's 30 degrees. Oh, it's 90 degrees.
Really?
That's what they say.
Okay.
Okay. There's that. People will say that they hear the voice of what we assume is Slag himself yelling at them, telling them to get back to work, pour the steel,
right? Yeah,
melt that baby up, whatever he would say.
Yeah.
And it's been a hotspot for a lot of paranormal investigators. And I have something special for you. Now, again, this isn't great podcast material because it's a video. But in 2002, but So investigators 2002, 2003, 2009, 2014, people are going and checking it out.
Mm-hmm.
They're all coming back saying the same thing. This place is haunted. Now, these are experts. Someday,
I'm sorry. Experts of
ghost
what?
hunting, of ghosts. Ghostologists. These are ghostologists.
Right. Yeah.
Someday, I think on this podcast, maybe for like the 500th episode, like our halfway point, I will relay the story of
when I'm halfway dead.
Yep. When Ben and I, our mutual friend Ben and I went on a ghost hunting trip with actual ghost hunters, which was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It involved a gun. Anyway, so I have for you a video from the CBS investigation.
CBS.
I know. Ever heard of them?
I do.
Yeah. Do you believe in journalism? They sent some paranormal investigators to go check out Sloss Furnace.
Right.
Now this video it's long. I'm going to show you a little piece of it. All right.
I'm a little nervous. Like this is actual evidence now.
Yeah.
Like this and this you like, bullshitting. I can't.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
If you can describe what you're seeing, that would be really good for the podcast, I think. So that people can hear the audio and
But we also captured something very rare on video. A floating orb. A first for the unexplained team. There's a big rush
there. And something it's definitely
a flashlight.
very strong.
No, that's a floating orb.
Oh, really? Okay. I mean, that could have been a moth, but
there alone and
it did look very orby.
Back to my right and saw what just appeared to be a glowing kind of white light that just sort of hovered.
Look at this amazing picture that Janice Rayleigh took. Look closely. It appears an apparition is watching. When we blow the image up, it takes on the form of a human face.
It's a little difficult to believe when it's at the edge
we know
of the
it's not a
frame,
member of our team because no one else was present when the photo was taken. Second, Rosemary Sellner felt that our late night tour of Sloss had a special guy.
But it's really unusual, in fact, that the ghosts were so aware of us and almost interacting.
I mean,
like they wanted to be helpful, or you were being warned not to touch.
Besides Janice shooting
if a
plenty
ghost
of
would be
orbs.
helpful in these regards.
I find that a little strange too. Not just that like a ghost would be helpful. I mean, I love the idea of a helpful ghost.
I mean, I'm a big Casper fan, obviously.
Yeah, but also like the fact that these professional quote unquote ghost hunters are like, it's unusual that ghosts make themselves known to us, that they interact with us. That seems to be kind of the thing that I would think they would stake their whole reputation on that happening a lot.
I mean, a ghost hunter's reputation.
Okay. Anyway, so I know you're gonna take this down a negative.
I mean, I saw a flashlight on a moth at one point. That seemed exciting.
That was a floating orb, friend.
That was a moth.
And you saw a light, a presence that looked like a face.
I mean, I saw a lot of flashlights shining on things until they found something that looked kind of facey. So, I mean, not totally convinced. Pretty unconvinced, actually. But
okay. Did the video make you more or less convinced?
I would say less convinced.
Okay, that's good to know for future because I won't do that anymore.
I mean, the whole inside edition, this might look kind of like a face in some regards while there's 10 people running around. Not great.
Okay.
But the stories were really good.
The stories are real. The names are made up, but the stories are real.
Yeah.
No, the names are real. They're all James and Richard.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the story of the Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama. Lots of people died. That's beyond dispute.
So, okay. So, debrief.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people died. 47.
That's just during the graveyard shift over 4 years.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then James
Slag.
Richard Slag.
James, his name's not Slag.
I'm sorry.
But it's a nickname.
Yeah.
So yeah, James Wormwood, whose nickname was Slag. Yeah, James.
James Slag.
Not Richard.
Yeah. So he dies. He's the 48th person, let's say.
Under his watch. Yeah.
Why is he the one that comes back as a ghost? That's a little fantastical. I mean, there's 47 other people that allegedly died.
Yeah, but I think the whole point of ghosting, if you, according to some people,
right,
is like a very aggrieved ghost, right? I would say the 47 people who died during his shift were probably like, oh, thank God, I don't have to come back tomorrow.
Finally.
Release me. I'm done. But Slag really loved his work. And when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's true.
So he would want to stay there forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know. It still seems to me like maybe one of those 47 people would be like, you know what? Fuck these guys. I just boiled to death.
Well, I should say there were reports of paranormal activity before the death of Slag, but I didn't think that you would go in for that. So I skipped over it.
I'm in for all of this.
Okay. That's
okay.
counter to everything that you said before, but go on.
Yeah, well, but so again, my big concern would be that if only James Slag is haunting this place, again, it seems a little convenient for the story, but
because so many people died.
Yeah. But at the same time, I guess it would make sense that if so many people did die, maybe they were just finally happy to be rid of the place.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. But also, I should say, Travel Channel on their in-depth documentation of this, they spoke of quite a few ghosts that happened before James Slag ever took over. So it's not like he was the first. He was just kind of like the big main one.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Still completely unconvinced at this, but very interesting names.
Yes. James is a great name.
Yeah. Slag.
Richard is a really good name.
Yeah, these are all fantastic.
Sloss Furnaces.
Yeah, that rolls off the tongue and then kind of dies somewhere.
Sloss is going to be my pick for Wordle tomorrow morning.
Okay, fair enough. So at some point we need to probably visit Sloss Furnaces.
I think so. Here's what I envision: once we get 1 million listeners,
right,
which I think a few weeks. Oh, there's different views for this podcast. Once we get 1 million listeners, we should start doing live shows. At haunted places.
I like this.
Yeah. Any questions?
No, all my questions have been answered.
Okay. Sloss Furnace. Pretty scary. Thank you so much for listening to Is This a Ghost? If you're enjoying it, please make sure to rate this podcast wherever you downloaded it and to subscribe if you don't yet. And also, if you could tell your friends about it, that would be super great because Patrick thinks it's going to take us 1 million years to get 1 million listeners. I would love it if it took like a week because I could really, that'd be a feather in my cap. So, please spread the word.